بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسول الكريم أما بعد. Now I'm moving on to أما الشرطية. We're moving on to أما الشرطية. So وأما هي حرف شرط وتفصيل وتوكيد. So for أما, so إما came before, yes, but there's حرف عطف on us إما. أما is, it says حرف شرط. It has حرف التفصيل and it's حرف توكيد. It has three meanings or three elements built into this. For example, we have here فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَيَقُولُونَ مَاذَا أَرَادَ اللَّهُ بِهَذَا مَثَلًا. You've done it in Quran translation. So we have the word amma here. Correct? Now what are the three elements of amma? One is a shart. Why do we say it's a shart? Because what do we have here? فَيَعْلَمُونَ. Why is it tafsil? Because we're discussing two things. And the amma gives a meaning for each. So what do you have here, for example? فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. What is this? One option, option A. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا is option B. You following? So in that way it becomes harfu tafsil. And the third thing that they mention is regarding harfu tawkeed. Why is it harfu tawkeed? It's harfu tawkeed because it's more emphatic than saying الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ. So that's why it has three kind of elements built into this. And I explain a bit in more detail as you go along. Okay, now to understand this, look at what Sayyidina rahimahullah mentioned. He says here that Amma Zaydun fa muntaliq. So the structure, he explains it in a very basic example. Zaydun muntaliq. Some people have example, some people have a problem. Why do you keep on saying Daraba Zaydun Amran? Or why do you keep on saying like Zaydun muntaliqan? Because if you give an easy example all the time, you understand that you don't focus on the meaning, you just focus on the grammar. So to give an easy example, let's use that example. So not trying to, it's not a book of literature, it's a book of An-Nahw. So one example, so that students don't get confused. Like in Balagha, if you have one example, like throughout Tashbih, Isti'ara, Tamthil, and it becomes easy to like just focus on the same concept as opposed to the logha and the vocabulary, everything. That's why they have the same example all the time, very simple example. So, قَوْلُنَا أَمَّا زَيْدٌ فَمُنْطَلِقٌ. He's saying here that from his analysis and his looking into this, he says here, what it seems like is that it seems to have its origin in this structure. The Arabs probably have another structure. It's a mahma yakun min shay. And mahma means whatever. So whatever, and then mahma, this is the bayan of min shay, becomes the bayan of mahma. So whatever yakun happens, whatever occurs. Min shay, whatever thing occurs. Meaning, whatever happens. In every situation, Zaydun muntalikun, Zayd is going to walk and go. Zayd is going to go. So in all stations, Zayd is going to go. Then what happens, he says that what it seems that amma, that the kalima amma replaces the adatu shart of mahma. And the jumla shart. So instead of saying mahma yakun min shay, it says amma. So it became amma fa zaydun muntaliqun. Obviously amma fa zaydun is a bit weird. So what do you say? Then you move it around and say amma zaydun fa muntaliqun. So he, from his analysis of the language and him seeing different precedents, etc., he says it seems to have this origins in this kind of structure. This is what it seems that the Arabs used to use originally. Okay? And then he says here, now, in this way, so now, because the origins are built in this, where the origins in here, in mahma yakun. So when does it become harfu? Shart. You got it with harfu shart. Because the origins are such. Then he says here that, what's the benefit of this? Why, like when he says Zaydun muntaliqun, why sing all the other long stuff for? For ta'keed. Are you following? If you say Zaydun muntaliqun, you say amma Zaydun muntaliqun, then why do you say amma Zaydun muntaliqun? It creates more emphasis, so it's for ta'keed. So he's saying, هو تأكيد لقولنا زيد. When he says Zaydun muntaliqun, and we change it to amma Zaydun muntaliqun, it means تدل على أنه لا محالة. It's going to happen. وأنه بصدد الذهاب. He's about to go. وأنه منه عزيمة. He's made a firm intention, he's going to go. As opposed to Zaydun muntaliqun, it's like, okay, we don't mention all of these things, that he's about to go, he's ready, he's made a firm intention. Those elements are not mentioned. So when you have this, amma Zaydun muntaliqun, it creates this. So in that aspect, it becomes harfu tawkeed. So harfu shar, harfu tawkeed, and because sometimes it happens with multiple things. So then it becomes what harfu tafsil. Okay? Ibn Ashur, he isn't like going through all of that, like all that deep stuff. He's saying here, according to me, it seems that what Sayyid is doing is basically trying to explain, and again, he's saying like, we don't have any evidence of this, that what it was originally, because no original use of this. is basically trying to say that Sayyid Rahmatullah was trying to figure out where does this come from, this structure. Because like, for example, we have a whole language and we have like this many things fit under rules. Like, it's very systematic. And these, like, we can't figure out this set amount. So we say, what's the origins of this? Like, for example, like, if you go back and say, like, for example, like people say, let's say, even in balagha or in like metaphors in speech, like people say, oh, this is my metaphors are probably so old now, like old man metaphors. I don't know what you guys use nowadays. But for example, our time, say this is bad. This is wicked. So wicked means evil. But it's changed. Like maybe people thought of something. If I'm trying to explain to a non-like person who studied this grammar without the street language, without the actual usage of people, you say, how did wicked become really good? I don't know that's what it is, but how did that even work? So I think what possibly happened is like maybe they're trying to like, maybe the person's thinking was that if you describe something with the opposite meaning, it emphasizes the original meaning. The guy in the street didn't think about that kind of stuff. But maybe that's how it's like subconsciously built up. And then we say, oh, maybe that's why we get opposite, where words have opposite meanings. Like raghiba and raghiba fi. Maybe that's how thinking, a philosophy of people, that you can describe it with the opposite and that becomes the emphatic of the original meaning. But that's like kind of like trying to understand how they got to that meaning. You following? It wasn't never that had a council and sat down and said, okay, from now on, hence therefore we shall conclude that the word wicked shall mean intensively good. Yes, there's no council, it happened. So similarly, Ashur is saying that what happened is that what Sayyid is saying, I don't really get all this. But what Sayyid Rahmatullahi alayhi is trying to do, he's trying to explain why there's a fa here. And that taqdeer and that thing that he's assumed makes it easy. Yes? So he's saying here, when you have adat tafsil, what's adat tafsil? Amma. Yes? And it has the meaning of shart, it shows more ihtimam, it shows more ta'keed. So ihtimam, ta'keed, all of these things, yes? And Zamakhshari has got another statement, it's called tawkeed. So he's saying it's ihtimam, not necessarily tawkeed, and Zamakhshari is called tawkeed. But Sayyid says ihtimam. What's ihtimam mean? It's like, I really want to show you how important this thing is. So ta'keed, ihtimam is slight differences in that meaning. You follow? Right. Now, what it seems like is when you have the word amma mukarrar, that the tafsil, wallahu alam, tafsil is more emphatic, and ta'keed, does it go away, not go away? I don't know. It seems that, is it tafsil? So we have three meanings, isn't it? You have shart, you have tafsil, and then you have tawkeed. So if you only have it by itself, like amma zayd muntaliqun, then the only purpose of amma here is going to be what? Ta'keed, there's no tafsil because there's no second person involved. You following? And the shart is basically the Arab justification of the fa. So now we left with what really, we have to look at what, basically what, two possibilities. Are you following? You get it? So the shart meaning is because of the fa. But it's not really a shart. It's Sayyid Rahmatullah's assumption of what it could have been to get to that structure which we can't figure out really. So because of that we can call it harf shart. That's always going to be there, yes? Now we have two other possibilities, tafsil and tawkeed. If I say on its own, the only possibility there is going to be what? Ta'keed. If you have got two, then it's going to be what? Tafsil. Now does tawkeed remain in there as well? Maybe not. So it could or not. That's something we discuss and analyze in the books of tafsir and grammar, etc. But you get the meaning? So tafsil, we say harf shart is basically Sayyid ways. People are mentioning harf shart because of Sayyid ways research on what the founding structure could have been. When it's got two times it's mentioned, definitely harf tafsil. When it's mentioned only one time, it's definitely tawkeed. When both are mentioned, it's going to be tafsil, but is it tawkeed or no tawkeed? Allahu alam. I thought maybe the tawkeed meaning may go away, maybe it doesn't go away, Allahu alam. But do you understand how these three meanings are used in amma? Yes? Okay. Yes? So this is what I'm thinking. Maybe if it's mukarrar, it's tafsil. If it's not mukarrar, it's only tawkeed. That's a thought. It can be researched even more. Okay. Right. And how does it occur? Oh, okay, time's up. We continue tomorrow, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem. So now we're moving on to this part here. What he says here, that when you have amma, it either, like imma also occurs in jewel, isn't it? Two places. Imma da, imma this. Amma mukarraran. So, amma occurs mukarraran repeatedly, double. لِتَفْصِيلِ مُتَعَدِّدٍ, for to clarify, to explain many things, متعدد, many things, and that's a na of متعدد, ذكر مجملا قبله, which have been mentioned ambiguously before it. Which have been mentioned ambiguously before it. Correct? Acha. نحو كذبت ثمود وعاد بالقارعة. So in this first ayah, what do we have? We have Thamud and Ad both rejected the Qari'ah, and Qari'ah refers to Qiyamah. Okay, so we have two things mentioned ambiguously. فَأَمَّا ثَمُودُ, then we have here now Amma plus the details regarding Thamud. You following? Then we have Amma again. Amma is repeated twice to give tafsir of many things. So the muta'addid, this is the muta'addid. We have one, and then we have here number two. Are you following? G. You following? That's a general rule. However, وَقَدْ يُتْرَكُ التَّكْرَارُ, we've done a balagha ijaz. If you can say, I don't need to mention both things, don't mention both things. It's shorter, it's brief. So sometimes takrar is left. We don't do takrar. Istighna'an, depending upon one of two things. So istighna'an, istighna comes with ba and it comes with an. Istaghnaytu billahi anil makhluq. I have taken my ghina and my independence with Allah away from the makhluq. I don't need makhluq anymore. You see how the word istighna is used? So you rely upon this instead of this. So you can mention one and leave the other one out. For example, Allah says here, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَاعْتَصَمُوا بِهِ, as for those who believe in Allah and hold fast to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will give them entry into His mercy, i.e. Jannah, and His grace. After that, there's no other details. What's understood from the context? Who's the other party? أَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. So istighna'an بِذِكْرِ هَذِي الْقِسْمَيْنِ, you don't mention the other party. That's also another way amma can be used. So it usually has two, but you can do istighna, you can suffice on one, relying on the other. So what's this called in balagha? What you can call it? It's ijaz. What form of ijaz? Iktifa. It's ijaz, but it's a form of, the form of ijaz is iktifa. You rely on one of two things to understand the meaning of the other. Okay, the next masla we have is that when you have amma, remember amma zaydun fa muntaliqun, isn't it? So in that example, which Sayyid used as rahimahullah as the main essence of this bab, what do we have? We have amma, mubtada, fa, khabar. That's the default, what we have here. Yes? For example here, this is another example. Amma alladhina amanu wa amilus salihati falahum jannatul ma'wa. Correct? So what comes here we have the amma, we have the fa. What does this become? Mubtada, and this is the khabar. That's a common structure that we have in examples in the books. Amma zaydun fa muntaliqun. But you can also have different things. Amma fil bayti fa zaydun. This is come in the Quran. So just an example here. Amma fil bayti zaydun. So now we have the khabar muqaddam between amma and the khabar. Then you have jumlatu shart. What can we have? Shart. So between the shart and between the amma and the fa, what do we have? The shart. And what comes afterwards? The jawab. So look, we have amma here, and then we have the fa here. What's here now? This is now shart and jawabu shart. Now shart and jawabu shart. Correct? Ismun ma'mulun li'amilin. What do we have? Ismun ma'mulun li'amilin. Okay? So, between, you follow? Should we go ahead, Abdullah? Okay. Now, what do you have? We have fa, and we have, sorry, that fa is, sorry, not that fa. We have the amma here. That fa is there, but that's not part of the structure. It's amma and fa. Now, what do we have here? We have an ism, which is ma'mul of an amil in the jawab. So, amma al-yatim, when we say amma, it's harfu shartin wa tafsil wa tawqid. So, it becomes the shart, isn't it, really? So, what we say here, we have an ism between the amma and the fa. Correct? We have an amma and that. And then in the jawab, what do we have? La taqhar. And yatim is what? Ma'mul of the taqhar. Yes? Everybody following? Make sense? Another situation we have here, it can be mahdhuf. That is amil of a mahdhuf. For example, here, awakya amma thamudu fa hadaynahum, isn't it? So now, amma thamudu, what's becoming tarkib? Mubtada. And hadayna becomes the khabar. But one qira'ah is what? Quri'a bin nasab. So what's that qira'ah? Amma Thamuda. But can hadayna be the amil of Thamud? Can hadayna hum be the amil of Thamud? Huh? Yes, no. Ishtighal. Yeah. So hadaynahum can't be the amil of Thamud. Why? Because the maf'ul bihi is already hum. The maf'ul is occupied. Ishtighal. It came before in Wusta and it may have come before in here, it'll come later on. So it's what? Ishtighal. So because of the Thamuda in this qira'ah, Thamuda can't be the ma'mul of hadayna. So now it says a hidden fail. Amma Thamuda hadayna fa hadayna. They have this ma'lum. In terms of i'rab, it can't be the ma'mul of Thamud, of hadayna. In the Thamuda qira'ah. In the Thamudu qira'ah, there's no problem because it's mubtada and khabar. That's how our qira'ah is. In the other qira'ah of Thamuda, in there the meaning is the same, but the i'rab will be different. Okay? And we mentioned here lawla, lawma, amma, shartiyya. These are all adat wa shart. The other adat wa shart, in, idha, not idha, in, man, mata. Those are also what? Shart, isn't it? But those are amil. We're discussing what? Here this section is ghayr amil. So two types of shart, amil and ghayr amil. So the shart amil will come in its own position, or has already come, I think. It's already come. And this is the amil, ghayr amil, adawatu shart. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.